It sounds backwards, but one of the most unfortunate truths in personal finance is that being poor is incredibly expensive. Not just emotionally or in terms of opportunity, but literally. Poor people often pay more for the same things that wealthier people get cheaper, faster, or more efficiently. It's a trap that's built into how our systems work, and once you're in it, it's incredibly difficult to climb out. In this video, we're going to look at why being poor is so expensive. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps this small channel grow. Let's start with one of the most obvious areas, borrowing. If you have money, you can borrow cheaply. You get access to low interest credit cards, mortgage deals, and personal loans with manageable terms. But when you don't have money, when you have bad credit, no assets, and inconsistent income, you get the worst end of the stick. Payday loans with interest rates that can climb into the hundreds of %, overdraft fees, rent-to-own schemes for basic appliances that cost double or triple the price of buying them outright. You're not being reckless, you just don't have options. Wealthier people get rewarded for being low risk. Poorer people get penalised for being vulnerable. Then there's buying in bulk. A person with disposable income can go to Costco or order a 3-month supply of pasta, rice, toilet paper, whatever it is, and pay less per unit. Someone who lives paycheck to paycheck might be shopping day to day, only ever buying the cheapest single pack of something, which ends up costing more over time. It's a simple but brutal principle. If you can't afford to buy ahead, you pay more in the long run. Transportation works the same way. If you own a reliable car, you can get around easily, pick your kids up from school, commute to a better job, do a big shop once a week. But if you're poor, you might rely on public transport. Buses that don't align with your shift hours, expensive train fares, or rideshare apps when you're stuck late at night. And if you do have a car, it's probably an old one, the kind that breaks down regularly and needs repairs that eat into your already stretched budget. A wealthy person might pay $300 for a service once a year. A poor person might be spending $200 here, $300 there, and never knowing when the next failure on their older car is going to hit. Housing is one of the most punishing examples. If you're poor, you probably rent. Not only does that mean no equity, it often means higher monthly payments than a mortgage. In many countries, people are spending much more on rent than a homeowner pays for their mortgage on the same type of property. And because your credit might not be great, landlords can charge higher deposits or insist on expensive guarantor insurance. In the UK, lower income families are often stuck in temporary housing or private rentals with poor insulation, old boilers, and sky-high energy bills, while wealthier families in newer homes pay less to heat and maintain their space. And in most cases, you can't just move to a cheaper place. Relocation costs, letting fees, upfront deposits, and even just the price of a moving van make it a non-starter. Even food is affected. Healthy food is more expensive than unhealthy food. Fresh vegetables, high quality proteins, whole grain products. If you're on a low income, you're probably shopping based on calories per pound or per penny, not long-term nutrition. You buy the food that fills you up. Cheap bread, pasta, tinned goods, frozen meals, it's survival, not optimal health. And ironically, these foods can lead to worse health outcomes over time. Higher rates of diabetes, obesity, and heart disease, which then become another layer of costs in the form of prescriptions, sick days, or lost productivity. Healthcare is another factor. In countries without universal healthcare, being poor can mean you avoid the doctor until it's absolutely necessary, which usually means the condition has worsened. But even in countries with free healthcare like the UK's NHS, there are hidden costs. Taking time off work unpaid to attend appointments, paying for travel, being on a waiting list while your condition deteriorates, or not having the mental bandwidth to chase referrals and follow up on care. You don't necessarily always pay with money, but with time and stress. Then there's insurance. A person with money protects themselves with it. They've got life insurance, car insurance, pet insurance, income protection. But if you're struggling, insurance is one of the things you cut first. It's an extra bill, something you tell yourself you'll sort later. But then something goes wrong, your car gets stolen, your flat gets burgled, you miss a rent payment due to illness, and suddenly you're facing a huge cost with nothing to fall back on. The result? More debt, more instability, and more stress. Time itself becomes more expensive when you're poor. Because you don't have the luxury of slack in your day, you work long shifts, often at odd hours. You take 2 buses instead of 1 car journey. You wait in queues because you don't have priority access. You miss out on discounts because they require planning ahead, which is something you physically can't do when you're living hand to mouth. You often don't have the time to make better financial choices, to compare deals, read the fine print, or in some cases, file taxes properly if self-employed. The system assumes people have time to be savvy consumers. But if you're poor, time is the one thing you don't have. Digital poverty is another layer. Poor people are more likely to have limited or unstable internet access, older phones, and no home computer. That makes it harder to apply for jobs, fill out government forms, study online, or access discounts and comparison tools. Something as simple as a broken laptop can stop you applying for a course that could get you a better job. Then there's the social cost. When you're poor, you're often excluded from the kind of social and professional circles that lead to opportunity. You can't afford to go for drinks after work, or buy the clothes that help you fit into a corporate environment, or move to a city where the best jobs are. That isolation isn't just emotional, it's economic. There's also the psychological toll, not often counted in money, but it affects decisions constantly. When you're stressed, sleep deprived, and overwhelmed, you don't make optimal choices. You choose short-term wins, borrowing from one place to cover another, skipping a payment to buy food, saying yes to a bad loan because it's all that's on the table. Some people talk about poor money management like it's a moral failing, but the truth is being poor shrinks your decision space. You're not choosing between good and bad, you're choosing between bad and worse. Then there's the cost of trying to improve. Education is expensive. Certifications, even short courses, cost money. Childcare to attend a class costs money. Time off work to study costs money as well. People in stable financial positions can invest in their own growth. People in poverty are often forced to stay where they are, not because they don't want to improve, but because they literally can't afford the entry price. And all of this is self-reinforcing. You pay more for everything, you have less time, less stability, fewer options, each expense steals not just money, but the breathing room that wealthier people use to plan, recover, and move forward. And when you finally do manage to save, something breaks, a boiler, a tooth, a childcare emergency, you're back at zero or worse in debt again. It's not just a cycle, it's a treadmill. Always moving, never allowing you to rest. So when people say just budget better or stop wasting money, they're missing the point. Being poor is expensive in ways that budgeting apps and financial advice don't always acknowledge. It's expensive in invisible fees, in lost time, in higher interest, in worse health, in lower stability. And it's not just a lack of money, it's a system that turns that lack into a multiplying cost. So in summary, it's clear being poor costs more than being rich ever will. Not because people are doing something wrong, but because the system is stacked in a way that makes it easier and cheaper to stay wealthy, and much, much harder to escape poverty once you're in it. What do you think should be done to assist those on low incomes get out of this cycle? Let me know down in the comments, and please do subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. And thanks for watching. Why not consider checking out this video next? If you have an interest in technology as well as finance, I've left a link to my other channel down in the video description.